The relegated up one side.
Sing with me. Got a bit of dag. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make me. Let's talk about sex. You got it. Let's talk about sex. Well, hello everybody. Here we are. Thank you for coming. Let's talk about sex. You all thought serious subject. No one's ever talked about sex at Mind Body Spirit Festival. We better go there and check that out. Some serious stuff. And there I am playing this daggy song, having a bit of a dance. But sex is fun, so you've got to have fun with sex, yeah? So that's just my way of having a bit of a play and relaxing into it, and for me to just breathe and get into the space. So I got a question, and these are icebreakers, so I'd love your participation. Who here was lucky enough to have sex last night? Put your hand up. Oh my God! Not very many of you. We're going to turn that around. Don't be shy. You can put your hands up. Nobody knows you unless it's the person that you've come with. He's had sex twice last night. He's got 2 hands up. Alrighty. So if you didn't have sex last night, by the way, this is an AO presentation. So if you've got little kitties, I'm not filtering. It's your call. So if you didn't have sex last night, who'd really like to have sex maybe tonight or in the very near future? Put your hands up. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Doesn't have to be tonight, but in the future. And even if you haven't got a partner, you know, we can do some solo loving. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. So I've got another question. I've probably got a couple. I think this is a two-handed answer personally, but that's just not me, but I'm hoping you're all on the same page. Who here loves to have sex? Alrighty, you are in the right place. Fantastic. So, when you're having not much sex, a little bit of sex, or lots of sex, who'd be interested in bringing more passion, more intimacy, more connection, more presence, more heartfelt, more communion and contribution, and more fun into their sex lives, whether they have a sex life right now or one in the future? Yeah, great. So today we're going to look at a few different things. We've got 45 minutes and I've got a lot of information to share. We're going to look at libido. And what the hell happens to libido when it just disappears off the face of the earth? Where does it go? How do you get it back? How do you turn it up? How do you turn the volume up on it and ramp it up? We're going to also look at the anatomy system for both men and women so that you can learn how to turn yourself on even more and turn your partner on even more. And the other thing that we're going to look at is we're going to step outside the box a little bit and look at sexual energy and what that means and how that can enhance your sexual experience. So who'd be interested in hearing about those things? Alright. So, I was married for about 16 years, been divorced for 12. We had problems. There are often problems in relationships and hopefully we can solve them, but unfortunately we weren't able to solve our actual problems. And towards the end of the relationship, life completely died. I'd stuffed my emotions down, put a big fat foot on them, I was like, nothing's going to get out. Unbeknown to me, I'd stuffed my libido down as well, and I just was not interested in sex. And on the odd occasion when we'd have sex, I'd be like, oh my God, that was amazing. Why aren't we having sex more often? To be like, oh yeah, that's right. We're not talking. There's no communication happening with us. There's nothing there. And without communication, there is no intimacy. Without intimacy, there is no sex. Well, there can be sex, but it's not very connected and it's pretty robotic and it's not the sort of sex that we're all craving. So eventually, our problems weren't able to be sorted and our relationship ended. The very next day, after my husband left, I start feeling all these like tingling sensations down here and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? I was having these feelings I didn't recognise. And then I realised, the penny dropped. It was like, oh my God, my libido's back and it's come back on steroids. What the hell was I going to do with that? No husband, an emotional basket case, but somewhere I knew that it was important and that I was not going to bury that libido ever again. That no matter what, I was going to keep it active when I was in a relationship. Obviously I wasn't right then and there, and that's a whole other story. But libido does die for lots of reasons, and my story was that I was in an unhappy relationship. It doesn't mean that if your libido's died, you're in an unhappy relationship. Libido can go for lots of different reasons. Libido can go due to bad health. Medication can get interfere with libido. Someone's going, yeah, I hear you there. Thanks. What other things interfere with libido? Men that have challenges with erectile problems, so not being able to get an erection, maintain an erection will affect your libido. Men with premature ejaculation, men that have had prostate work done, that actually can affect the way you experience libido and sex. If anybody here has had their prostate removed, please come and have a chat to me afterwards. I'm down on D64, just down there. I'm not going to go into that now. Women that have had a baby, they're not feeling particularly sexy, they're in baby brain, they're not in sexy brain. Women are going through menopause, women that are having painful sex. There are a lot of women out there that are experiencing and putting up with painful sex, and no woman needs to put up with painful sex. Again, if you're a woman here that's experiencing painful sex, please come and talk to me. I have something that actually will turn that around. Totally, absolutely make massive improvements in that area. Other reasons why we lose libido is anxiety and stress. They're two big killers that get in the way. And life. You know, we get busy, we get time poor, and sex moves to the bottom of the list. So there's lots of reasons why libido goes, but no matter where you are in your libido, we can bring your libido back, we can turn it up, and we can ramp it up through teaching various techniques and tools that are solely designed through bringing back your libido. And when you're in a relationship, actually, for those of you that are single, just pop your hand up for a minute. Where are you? Look around. Might be someone cute, you might be able to hook up with a cup of tea down the cafe. So, for those that are single, I want you to just think back to when you first got in your last relationship. Maybe not the last one, don't want any tears or trauma, but maybe the one previously. And those of you that are in a relationship, think back to the beginning of that relationship. You were having sex all the time, you couldn't stop. At it all the time, people were going, for God's sake, get a room. Then after a while, life comes in. A little bit of life kicks in and the practicalities come in. Oh, don't think I can have sex tonight. I need more than 3 hours sleep, I've got a really big day tomorrow. Oh, do we have to have sex? I've got no sheets, I haven't got time to change the bed and la la la. And other things come in and then slowly we're having lots of sex, but maybe not as much as at the beginning. And then life comes in a little bit more, and suddenly we're just not having as much sex as one of the people in the relationship actually desires. And so we go out of sync, and somehow we can't talk about it, and it creates this energy, an energy in the space, which is known as the elephant in the room. Whereas this instance, the elephant in the bed. And I find that really interesting that we can't talk about sex with our partners. It's one of the most sacred things that we can do with our partner. Yet we have trouble talking about sex. We can talk to them about anything else. We can sit on the toilet and have a conversation with them. We can burp in front of them. You know where I'm going. We can fart in front of them. We're going to squeeze that pimple on our back, but we can't talk about the fundamental thing, which is sex. And this is from all our upbringings and our cultural things that get in the way from us being able to have open, honest, heart, communicated conversations around sex. What's not working for me? What I would like different, what I would like to try, because we go into that fear of, oh, they're going to think I'm judging them, they're not a good lover because I want to try this. Or lots of other things that we make these assumptions. And so it's really, really hard to have those conversations. And I think part of the problem is that we just don't know how to. And so sometimes what happens is maybe sex is off the table now and it just gets pushed under the carpet. It doesn't get talked about. It just gets pushed aside and then it just builds, and then resentment builds. So it's not an easy conversation to have, but it's a pretty important one. For a relationship to have sustainability, you have to have great communication. With great communication comes great sex. Without those things, your relationships aren't going to last the distance. So, who the hell am I and why am I up here talking about sex? I know this pretty science is a bit. Yes, I do work with individuals and couples around any problems that they have around intimacy, sex, relationships and everything in between. But what does that mean? Well, about over 5 years ago I did my NLP training, so I work with neuro-linguistic programming, subconscious reprogramming. So working with the subconscious, making changes on a subconscious level, hypnotherapy and a few other bits and bobs with that. And at the end of that training, I was with my girlfriend trying to work out my niche, and I was going health, emotional well-being. She kept going boring, 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 and I was just like, oh shit, I don't know. And I had my back against the wall, and out of my mouth, out of nowhere, came the word sex and sexuality. And she went, that's it. You know more about sex than anybody I know. And I'm like, really? I can do that? And the next round of trainings, everyone's calling me the sex lady. And so it started because my best friend said that was what I should talk about. And I thought, well, that seems legit. That's what I'll do. So I started as an NLP practitioner, working with the problems that people were having in their relationships around all those things, and looking at the problem and going below the surface and below the surface and below the surface to get to the actual root cause and creating the change on a subconscious level. But it wasn't quite enough. I wanted more information, so I went out and studied Tantra and became a certified Tantra teacher and practitioner. And that was grateful doing my work with couples for creating that intimate connection and gave them some good structure. But still wasn't quite enough. I wanted to get an understanding of what was happening in the physical body. Like, why weren't men able to get erections? Why is people losing their libido? What's happening on the physiological being, and how's that linked to the mind as well? And so I studied and became a somatic sexological body worker. So I combine all those things together and work with mind, body and spirit to move clients from where they are to where they would like to be. So that's sort of me in a nutshell. And when I left my husband, I left because I didn't want to be in a state of, 90% of relationships are not really happy. Sad stat, but it's true. A lot of people stay in relationships because it's what we're culturally ingrained to do, and it's also that societal perspective of, oh look, there's John and Betty, isn't that lovely? Someone loves John, someone loves Betty. They're in love. They must be having sex, even when they're actually not. And I didn't want to be not living into my truth of where I was at. So we'll just look at a couple of stats. It's actually 1 in 2.7 marriages end in divorce. No surprise there. 3 in 10 marriages are happy. Not a good stat. 1.7 million men and women are now in what's classified as a sexless relationship. So that means 15 to 20% of men. Take that one in. That's not really good. So some of you are sitting there going, oh crap, that's me. Some of you are single are sitting there going, hey, I'm single and I'm having sex more than 10 times a year. So it is a matter of perspective, but it's still not a really good stat. 57% of women have faked an orgasm. I'm not even going to go there. So 35% of women are not getting the correct clitoral stimulation. We're going to go there shortly. So what does that all mean? We need to learn to slow down. Unfortunately, a lot of people these days are learning about sex from porn. And porn's not real. Porn is tailored for men's fantasies, but it's not actually how we want to have sex. It's not about connection. And so we do need to learn to slow down and connect. And a lot of us are disconnected from our bodies. We disconnect for lots of reasons. We disconnect when women are having an orgasm, we close our eyes and we go off into orgasm land. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're actually disconnecting from our bodies. So open your eyes occasionally, connecting with your partner. It might be a bit scary at first, but when you're in that orgasmic moment, to be connecting with your partner is a really potent thing that could take you to a whole nother level. We disconnect from our bodies through shame and guilt. We disconnect because we don't want to be fully seen, because we're in our full orgasmic state. We're in our complete, utter, most vulnerable state that we can ever be. And we disconnect because we don't want to experience our full pleasure. Again, on a subconscious level, we don't want to experience our full pleasure. We shut that down. We also disconnect if we've had any sexual trauma or abuse. And then stress and anxiety also come into why we disconnect from our bodies. But we also disconnect from our hearts and our genitals, especially if there's been any sexual trauma. You know, this is something that came into an awareness for myself only 5 years ago, having had some sexual trauma many, many years ago and not even having that awareness. So I was completely disconnected from my heart and genitals. So it's really important to learn exercises and steps to get you in your body, to connect you into your body, to connect you into your heart and genitals. So I have lots of different tools that we can do that. I have rose quartz crystal leaves for women that can insert into the vaginas, and rose quartz crystals, if anyone knows about crystals, is about the heart energy. So you've got a heart energy inside, you've got hand on heart, hand on your genitals, doing some breath work to connect in. And then you can also use a rose quartz crystal just to hold on the genitals and also connect. It's really, really important because we come out of our bodies so much. You know, sex is so driven, outcome driven. We've got to go here, we've got to hit the mark. We've got to get a better orgasm than last time. There's so much overdrive in the media about 10 ways to get a better orgasm, 10 ways to get a better this, better that. And we need to take stock and learn how to become present in ourselves first, and that's by connecting into our bodies. And, you know, what happens with porn, and a lot of men that I come across think that, you know, they can do a quick little rub on the clitoris and a quick, you know, business in the vagina and think, yay, we're there, we're home and hosed. And that's not how it works. If you want to reach your woman's G-spot, doing this at really fast pace, like you see in porn, is a bit like hit and miss. Am I there? Have I got it? I don't know, but I'll just keep doing that because that's what happens in porn, to get that G-spot to happen or to get that ejaculation to happen. And woman on the receiving end's going, because it's actually quite affronting, and we actually start to shut down. We close down. We have numbness and things that happen inside our vaginal walls because we're going, sick of having this bombardment. If you want to find a woman's G-spot, slow and steady is going to get it. You just got to pop your fingers in and slowly go at the front of the vaginal wall. Let your fingers do the walking and the talking and feel for the texture change. You'll know when you're on it because you're pressing on it and she's going to go, oh, I think I'm going to pee, stop. Then you know you're on the G-spot. You're not going to pee. It's just that sensation. And if you can relax and surrender and get out of your head and in your body, you can let go and maybe you'll just fall off that precipice and you may have that elusive G-spot orgasm and you may have that elusive G-spot ejaculation. So they're things that really need to be looked at, you know, how porn is and how we respond to two different things. So we need to slow down, we need to breathe, we need to come into presence with each other. And guys, also, I'm going to talk to the women as well, so I'm not just beating up on the guys, but, you know, because a lot of it comes from porn, when you're with a woman and she has an orgasm in the first few minutes, it does not mean, right, ready to go, because it actually takes 30 to 40 minutes for a woman to be fully aroused. That means all her vulva to be fully engorged and ready and flush with blood and moist and going, yes, I'm ready. So just because she's had an orgasm really quickly does not mean that she's ready. And it also means too that when a woman's had an orgasm, one or two don't go, is that like your second or third orgasm? Because we're off having orgasms, we're not counting, we don't care, we're off in la la land. And it actually, even though it's not your intention, it comes across a little bit as a judgment. What, you're having another orgasm? What, you've had one already? You've had 5 already? I'm going to wait long before I get to have mine? And I know that's not what you're meaning, but that's the intention behind it and the judgment that comes from it. So just have that awareness that it takes us a little bit of time to get moving. So let's move on. Let's have a look at the clitoris, hey? So the clitoris has 3 parts to it. We've got the clitoris head, which is covered by the hood. Now, some women's clitoral heads are covered a bit more, some are exposed, some hoods will retract on arousal. Everyone's just that little bit different. But if you look up there where it says glans clitoris, I don't know if you can see that, you'll see the little shape behind there. It looks like a little uncircumcised penis, doesn't it? Yeah, can you see that? Well, it actually sort of is, because when we're in embryo we have all the same parts, and there's a point, I can't remember, it might be 4 or 6 weeks, where the chromosomes kick in and everything starts to get rearranged. So that's the second part of the clitoris, and it's called the shaft. And when we rub that little bit behind the clitoral head, it actually gets erect, like a little tiny penis. So imagine if you're squeezing it, little squeezes and pinches and rubs, it's going to get more aroused, it's going to get more activated. And then there's dark shaded pink bits, look like a wishbone, and the clitoral legs. So that's the third part of the clitoris. They can't see those legs, they sit underneath the outer labia, but they're there, waiting to be aroused. So, if you're a vulva owner, how often have you had your outer labia played with? Not very often, because the guys are too busy going like this and going like this. Okay? So imagine if you slow down, this would be a very big one, but imagine if you were playing with those outer labia lips and squeezing them and just, zhuzhing around there. You're going to activate them. And so that means then the woman's going to be fully engorged. The clitoris' sole purpose is for pleasure, nothing else. It's literally our happy button. So if you're not getting stimulation from having clitoral play, then you're not getting either the correct clitoris play, or you need to look at what's going on. Maybe there's some blocks there. They're things that I work with. There's other things that happen behind the scenes, but they're the feature parts. So we've got the vestibular bulbs and the round ligaments that are behind the scenes that all flush and come through and get you all ready. So I think that's all I need to tell you about the clitoris. Let's look at the penis. So this is an uncircumcised penis. Now, the clitoris head has 8,000 nerve endings. The penis of the head has 4,000. So when you're circumcised, some of those nerve endings get taken away. And often what happens is men get left with a bit of sensitivity at the end of their penis. A little bit like, ooh, don't touch it. Or once they've ejaculated, ooh, don't go there. Because it's really, really sensitive. And there's a really quick fix to that. All you need to do, guys, is go and buy some organic castor oil. It has to be organic. And rub that on the end of your penis every night for about a month. And that will bring some changes. The healing property in castor oil, which I do a lot of work with. If after a month you haven't had improvement, then give me a ring and we'll check that out. Underneath the penis, like on this side, underneath is the frenulum. The frenulum's like a little happy spot. So if you rub that and play with that, it's actually connected to the third eye. So that's a nice little area to play with. The $1 million point is the perineum. The perineum's located between the testicles and the anus. Some guys have got a little space, some have got a bigger space, but it's a real erogenous zone because the prostate's sitting not too far behind there. So again, play with that, use a bit of oil. It can really open men up to experience more in their sexual experience. And sometimes it might feel a bit like scratchy, it's a bit like women getting their clitoris played, their G-spot played. It's a little bit like, ooh, that doesn't feel very comfortable, but if you keep persevering, using a bit of oil and gentle play, somewhere along the way there might be a shift and actually some movement can start to happen. So I think that's about all I'm going to tell you about the penis. There's so much I could tell you, but we have time. So the coffee cups. I want you to think about how you have an orgasm. Most of you, when you have an orgasm, close your mouth, clench your jaw, hold your breath, and squeeze everything. So, if you did that type of orgasm, this is what it looked like. You'd be going, and that would be why it's empty. There's nothing in it. But if you did the exact opposite and had that coffee cup, which wasn't, it would look like this. So, when you open your body and allow your body to open, it means the sexual energy's got somewhere to move. Because when you're contracting, it's an energy. And it gets stuck and it gets trapped. This movement of the sexual energy to move through your body, then you can open yourself to the possibilities of other things happening, of becoming multi-dimensional, multi-orgasmic. And this is for men as well. Now men currently, most men, will ejaculate and orgasm at the same time, but they're actually two separate physiological acts that you can learn to separate. Why would I want to separate that? So the guys are thinking. Because then you've got choice. It brings more choice for you. You can learn to separate. So through breath you can energy through you so that you actually experience body orgasms and multiple orgasms. And so instead of having a 1 minute amazing experience, you could have an orgasmic experience that could last 5 minutes, 10 or 15, because you're having this multi-orgasmic experience and you're not ejaculating. You can choose when you want to ejaculate. So I just wanted to sort of plant that out there, that there are other possibilities that you can do in your sexual experience. And so there's a way that we do that, and it's through breath. And it's with the autonomic nervous system. I'm just going to get a tiny bit technical for a second. So we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And when we're in the sympathetic nervous system, it means our pupils dilate, our heartbeat goes faster, we're breathing faster, the blood rushes through the whole of the body, our internal anal and urethral sphincters constrict. And when we're in that sympathetic mode, we're in what's known as flight mode. You've possibly heard of that. Safety, fleeing. And so the opposite of that is a parasympathetic mode, when the body goes into rest and repair. And in that, it's the exact opposite. So the pupils, the pupils constrict, the heartbeat slows down, the breath slows down, all the blood goes rushing to the core of the body, and the internal anal and urethral sphincters contract. So what's that got to do with sex? Well, what we do is we learn to manipulate the autonomic nervous system and bring about a different sense of balance. So we do that through breath. So by breathing fast, we can activate the autonomic nervous system. We can ramp up our system so that we can push the sexual energy through our body, so that we can experience more in our sexual experience. And the resting and repair, it's like, well, why do we want our bodies to rest? We're going for gold, aren't we? We're going for the orgasm. Why are we having a rest in the middle of it? Because it allows your body to adjust. And when you're going into that rest phase, what happens is, and when you're out of your head and in your bodies take over, and then these beautiful orgasmic waves can start to kick in, because what's happening is we're going for excitement at one end and we're going for joy and bliss at the other, and in the middle is all this pleasure that we're missing out on because we're going for the more, we're going for the gold. So when we learn to play with our breath and bring that into our sexual experience, it actually makes a huge difference to what we're experiencing. It takes a little bit to play with. And it doesn't mean that you're doing it the whole time. It's just like bringing it in from time to time. There's one more important piece, and that's pelvic floor muscles. So the pelvic floor is the pubococcygeus muscle actually is located between the pubic bone and the coccyx. It's the same for men and women, and it basically holds all our bits up. Technical term, hips. And so we hear a lot about, especially women that have had babies, Kegel exercise, tighten those PC muscles. There's a lot of emphasis on that, but it's also really important to tighten the PC muscle and tone it. Nobody's talking about toning, and we need both, because again, we need that balance. But men also need to learn to do this as well. So if you don't know where that muscle is, next time you go for pee, stop yourself midstream, mid-pee, and that's you activating those muscles. But don't do it all the time, because it's actually not healthy because then you can start blocking up your urethral tract with stopping yourself peeing, but just to locate it. And it's really important for men's sexual health moving forward. If you want your erections to stay stronger and lasting, you need to be doing your PC muscle work, toning and tightening. They're a key thing for libido for men and for women. And so we need to bring those things into it. And also when we activate our pelvic floor muscles when we're having sex, they do two things. They strengthen our orgasm, and they also help push that sexual energy through the whole body, because the sexual energy can get trapped just around the whole pelvic floor area. So if you're breathing and squeezing your pelvic floor muscle, it starts to push the energy through the body so that you can experience more in your whole body and your whole being, so you can start moving into multi-orgasmic sort of state. It's about working the system, working your body. So I just want to share a couple of stories of a couple of clients. They didn't look like that when they came to see me. He was 37, she was 44, madly in love with each other, but he'd lost his erections. Really fit guy, couldn't understand what the hell was going on, been to the doctors, done all this stuff. And they finally came to me, and so I took them through all these different things, working on their pelvic floor muscles, toning and tightening them, breathing exercises, new masturbation techniques, breath, all these different things, worked with the mindset because he was pretty, screwed up from not being able to do that. Dropped alcohol out of his system. And 3 weeks later, he was like a superstar. And his wife was deliriously happy because her knees weren't getting there. So there are ways that we can turn things around. Also had a couple that came to see me. They've been married 25 years. He said, we only have sex twice a year. I don't think that's right. And I love it to death. What do we do? So we had a chat, taught them some communication and some intimate bonding exercises, and looked at their habits. They'd sit in front of the TV every night, eating dinner. So TV was banned. They had to sit at the lounge room table and do one of these 5 minutes, only a whole 5 minutes of these exercises to connect before they ate their dinner. They ended up sitting at that table for hours talking. They used to get into bed at night, she'd get a big pillow out, pop it behind her, get another pillow, put it next to her, and get a book out and read. That pillow next to her was going, yeah, F off, I'm reading. Don't go near me. And so he'd be like going, oh, okay, the pillow's there, I can't even snuggle up to her, I'll just go to sleep. So 2 weeks after seeing me, they had sex. So I thought that was a pretty good win, because we changed some habits around what they can do. And look, there's lots of different things, but I think it's really important to look at what's going on for yourself and how you can do more in your sexual experience, because sex is so much joy in sex, there's so much beauty and so much, you could go to a whole nother level in your sexual experience other than just meeting and bonking. You can take sex to a whole nother level. It's a whole spiritual level that can happen with sex when you come into presence. And starts with yourself. You've got to come into presence with yourself, learn how to connect into yourself, and then become present with your partner. So I do have a stand down the back, and love you to come and have a chat to me down there. I do have a few things that I'm selling. I actually have an erotic massage book. Best $50 you'll spend here. It's a little booklet, and it's chock-a-block full of super sexy moves that you can do to yourself and your partner to awaken your genitals to experience more in your sexual experience. So it's a really good investment, and it doesn't have to be as a massage. You can just have it as play, you can muck around with it, you can go to your partner, oh, let's try sexy move number 8 tonight, I like the sound of that, and give that a go. I actually created some CDs some years back because when I had my awareness about the disconnection from my own heart genitals, and I created a heart meditation CD. And it's a 10-minute heart meditation that's nice and easy because it's quick. It just connects you and drops you into your heart space really quickly. It's really lovely. And also with that is the 30-minute hypnosis track to connect you into your heart space, to move you and work with the subconscious level to move you forward into your life and in a powerful and empowered way. And I have another CD, the Sexual Awakening CD, which is working with the breath and the chakras. For those of you that know anything about chakras, I'm not going to go into that now. And I also have the rose quartz crystal eggs, and I have a vulva cream. Everyone goes, oh, vulva cream. But the vulva cream is really beautiful. It's a herbal cream, and it's great for women as we age. The thinning and elasticity, it really helps with that. And it's also a really good nourishing internal cream. So if you've had a hard night of sex, it's great to pop that on. And it's like your insides just go, thank you very much. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the talk. You might have some questions. I'm going to hang around. I did finish up a little bit earlier. Hang around for about 10 or 15 minutes if you want to have a chat, or come down and visit me on my stand. Thank you very, very much.